Hey guys, it's me, Jessica, and today I would love to be able to tell you the story about why I wanted to become a nurse and the journey that it took for me to get there. And it was long and it was exhaustive, and I had to persevere through the hardest challenges of my entire life. And I kept persisting until I got what I wanted. And here's my story. When I was a young child, I was an only child, and it was only my mom and I. When I was growing up, I had my mom, who had 7 brothers and sisters, including herself, and one of her brothers was handicapped where he had MS, multiple sclerosis. And my mother was his caretaker, so she had to go feed him. Her brother had to feed him and, care for him, take him to all of his doctor's appointments, and do everything for him completely. He was bedbound at some point later on, and it was very difficult to. Sometimes he would have to go into the hospital, and as a young child, I was constantly in and out of hospitals along with them. I got to experience the ins and outs of the hospitals and being around nurses and doctors my entire life because of this. And I would see the doctors that would come in, they would come in quickly into the bedside, they would do whatever they needed to do, and they would leave. But it was the nurse that would stay by the bedside and would give the family comfort and would ask how your day was, and they would make sure that I was doing well and that I was taken care of, and they would make me smile and give me a little giggle and try to make sure that I was included in the conversation as well. And so if I ever wanted to be a doctor, I quickly changed to wanting to be a nurse, because I do recall saying the nurse is the one who does all the work. And so I wanted to be there for the families and to be there to be supportive for the families, because the doctor was always in and out, and I didn't care for that role as I've seen it growing up. And I was in a lot of hospitals, and I saw this going on quite often. When I was 9, I remember going into Thomas Jefferson Hospital in Philadelphia, and my mom had to go into the ICU, but being 9 years old, children were not allowed to go into the ICU. So I was asked to stay outside, and I had to stay down in the busy lobby while my mom attended my uncle's bedside, and it was for a long period of time. And I would just sit and wait, and back then there were no electronics, and there was nothing to do. And I can't imagine now having a 9-year-old sitting alone down waiting in a waiting room in a busy hospital that's very much like an airport with all of the coming and going. But all you have to do is, at that time, you just sit and you wait, do what you're told, and you observe. So I did a lot of observing when I was a child, and I was just always around these hospitals. I can remember the smell. I can remember the nurses washing their hands and the smell of alcohol as they used on their hands, and the stethoscope around the neck. I mean, I remember all of the details. I remember many things about the hospital and all of that experience. But ultimately, I had always wanted to help people and advocate for them and to help families and make people well. So growing up, this was always something that I never wavered from. It was always the plan, always something I wanted to do. I mean, there was maybe an interest in music and things like that, but there was nothing that was stronger than my feeling to ever be a nurse. And so I was always headed towards that track. At the age of 14, I started, as soon as I could, as soon as you were allowed, I started volunteering in a hospital, and I made sure that I was around everyone everywhere, trying to learn as much as I could and be a part of it, and always just wanting to learn, always wanting to put myself in the position of doing better and being in that better position. I would, at that age even, putting myself in positions that you probably weren't supposed to do, but because I had such a strong desire, people saw that in me and they would let me kind of do things like, you can go in the NICU and you can feed the babies, even though I was just probably 14 and probably shouldn't be doing that maybe at the time, but I kind of talked my way into some things like that. So I would do all of these things, trying to get into this field. And when I went into college, I did not obviously come from a lot of money, being just my mom and I, and had to figure things out as to how am I going to get to college? How am I going to pay for it? And I had the great idea of I am going to go to 2 colleges at once. And the reason being, if I went to the university and if I went to the community college at the same time, I had my foot in the door for the university, but I would pay the lesser price of the community college for most of the classes, and then I would be able to transfer them in. And so at the end, I would get my education a lot cheaper doing this. So I went about doing this all through most of my college years, doing 2 colleges at once, until the end, when I was all the way done all of the classes, following the university's guidelines as to what nursing classes would be. And I transferred all of my classes from the community college into the university. Now, all I needed at this point was to get the clinical hands-on experience and enroll into the actual nursing program at the university. When I sat down with the counselors, the advisor told me at the time, I'm sorry, we're on a 3-year wait right now. And you're going to have to either wait, or why don't you choose another major? Why don't you try respiratory therapy? And I said, no, the only thing I've ever wanted to be was a nurse, and I am not doing anything else. So I was very upset, and I left the meeting, and as I left the meeting, sorry guys, as I left the meeting, I went on to look at other schools in the area, and I was trying to see what other schools were able to take me on and get into the nursing school, but I just kept finding that everybody was on this 3-year wait and I wasn't able to get in. And I was taking tests to get in everywhere and trying all kinds of things, and I wasn't able to get in. Everybody was just on this wait, and so it wasn't looking good. So I came back to the advisor's office and I said, just give me any degree, get me out of here. I wasn't going to put my degree on hold for 3 years. And so I finished up with my undergraduate degree in health sciences, and I had enough credits to get a minor in psychology. So that's what I ended up graduating with. And when I left, I tried getting a job, but I wasn't the nurse, and I wasn't able to get nursing jobs because I wasn't the RN at that time. So I just went right into my master's program, which is what I wanted to do anyway, but I continued on. So I continued and got my master's in public health, in community health specifically, and that took me another 2 years to complete. And when that was done, I then went looking for nursing jobs with this master's and thought, I still didn't have the RN, but I thought, well, I can still teach about health at this point. And as I was out looking into all of these jobs, they all stated, no, we want an RN to be able to teach health promotion. And I said, well, I'm not doing nursing work. I just want to teach about it. Why can't I just do that with this degree? It is health promotion. That's what I want to do, is to teach. And I just couldn't get I just couldn't get any job anywhere with this. I mean, it was a struggle, and I tried everyone, everywhere. I tried really, really hard. And if anybody who knows me knows, like, I just don't give up. And I literally tried as hard as I could in every direction. I've asked everybody, I've tried, I just couldn't do it. So at the time I was waitressing, I continued to waitress. And I'm waitressing, and I'm thinking, I need to go back to nursing school. And I looked into these programs. They at the time were starting to come out with these accelerated nursing programs for those who already had a bachelor's degree. They could get a nursing degree quicker because they already had one. So as I'm looking through these programs, they say, well, all of the classes that you have taken, they've all expired, and you have to retake them all over again. And I'm talking all of your sciences, and all of my classes were heavy in the sciences. So it was chemistry, it was biology, it was anatomy 1, anatomy 2. They wanted the psychologies retaken over again. It was a lot of classes, and I had just gotten done taking the classes and just gotten done my master's program, and I'd been in school for, it was more than 7 straight years in a row. I was so schooled out. I was so done with it. And now they want me to basically restart all over again. I was just exhausted. I was disgusted. I was tired. I didn't want to look at another book. I didn't want to do it. And I was dragging my feet, and I was tired, and I didn't want to do it. But I was stuck because I still was sitting here without the degree that I wanted, and yet I couldn't get a job that I really wanted. And I didn't know what to do. And I continued to waitress. So I'm waitressing, having a great old time because I love being around people. And this went on for years. And so at the time, I got married, bought our first house, and I just kept doing that for a while and thought, well, let's go on an adventure. Let's just move to the Midwest. So my husband and I, we just picked up and we moved to the Midwest, and we said, let's just try life over here and see what this is like. So I used my waitressing job to transfer out to the Midwest, kept the same job. And while I'm out there, I'm still waitressing. I'm feeling very incomplete, like not really using my brain, and I'm not really feeling fulfilled. And I am having that feeling that I just really want my nursing degree. It's something, when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And it's something I've always wanted. And there shouldn't be a reason why I can't do this. Why is this so hard for me? And everyone else is getting in like left and right. And it's quite difficult. So I was waitressing, and I'm out in the middle of the country, and I'm driving down the highway, and I see this billboard, and it says this community college, and it has the price of it said something like $300 a credit or something very inexpensive. And when I saw it, I said, oh my gosh, for that price, I'm going. So that really motivated me. I went back home, I looked up the college, and I quickly signed up for every science class in the summertime because they're much quicker and faster and easier. I loaded up my summers with microbiology and biology and chemistry. I loaded it up. I took as many as I could, as fast as I could, got them all done. I crunched in everything I possibly could, retook it all over again. And then I got all the prerequisites out of the way, all freshened up, ready to go. I then applied to my college of choice, which was back home in Philadelphia, and it was at the time I applied to, it was Drexel University. And at the time, my GPA was a 3.98 GPA in grad school. And I applied to Drexel, and I got the letter came back, and it said that you were denied for the nursing program because they were accepting all the 4.0s and it was very competitive. There were so many people applying for the program that they couldn't handle everybody, and they said, we're just not able to accept you at this time, to retry later. I applied, prior to that, I should say, I applied to this college up in Indiana, and I will never forget, the dean of nursing said to me, I've seen plenty of people with grades like yours, and this was prior to the summer classes. You'll never be a nurse, not with those grades. And I'm not one to usually, yell back or say anything, but I let her have it that day. And I said, how dare you say something like that to me or to anyone? I said, thank God I am not some 18-year-old that would believe you. I said, you don't know the struggles I have gone through to work 2 jobs at the same time of going to 2 colleges, that I got those grades because I was doing way too many things all at the same time. And that doesn't mean that I would never be able to be a nurse. And she had nothing to say, but thank God I didn't believe her. That made me so mad and so angry. And I did retake all of those classes, and I got straight A's in my entire summer of all of those sciences. And so that was something that never left me, was her saying something like that. While I'm waitressing, there was plenty of people that would come through as I'm waitressing, and I would always kind of, talk to people and, and just kind of make conversation. And one day, this lady was there and I'm serving her, and she says to me that she was somebody who, she heard my story. She had a business card, and on the back, when we were done our conversation, she wrote on the back of the business card of hers that one day that I was going to make an amazing nurse. And I could cry. I put that business card up on my mirror for years. And I looked at it and I said, if this lady who doesn't even know me thinks that I'm going to be an amazing nurse one day, then surely God thinks that I'm going to make an amazing nurse one day. Surely I will become a nurse. It has to happen. That business card became my motivator and sat on my mirror that I looked at every single day when I ever doubted myself. That's what I always saw every day when I looked in my mirror. So when I got that denial from Drexel, I was sad. I was livid, and I had applied to so many schools and got so many denials, and I had so many doors slammed in my face. And while I was waitressing, I met this girl who was waitressing with me. And ironically, she was at the same community college as me. And she was ironically doing the same thing, where she was going back to school, taking her prerequisites again to freshen those up, because she was trying to get into an accelerated nursing program as well. And she said, Jess, why don't you try this program that's, in St. Louis? And I said, okay, what's, one more, right? Let's give it a try. So I applied to the school and I got the letter and I couldn't read it. I just was so tired of the denials that I gave it to my husband and I said, here, you read it. And he likes to mess with me all the time. So when he opened it up, he said, Dear Jessica, congratulations, you've been accepted to. And I said, stop. And I thought he was messing with me. And he's like, Jess, I'm not joking. It says congratulations, like you've been accepted. And I cried and cried and cried and cried. And I said, oh my gosh, we're moving and let's go. Let's get out of here. So I made sure I called that school and I said, are you sure you have me on that list? And can you take my deposit now? I mean, I want to go right now. And we moved to St. Louis and I was able to get into nursing school. And prior to that, I had asked my grandfather, because of his connections with the medical world, I had said, is there any way that you know anybody that you can help me? And he wasn't able to help, but he said, you get into nursing school and I'll pay for it. And you better do it quick because I don't have that much time left. And he was probably 98 years old. And there was some urgency there. And when he said that, that really got me to kind of speed things up. And so that also kind of put a sense of urgency into my doing all of this as well. So when I got that acceptance letter, I was beyond excited and happy that I drove from India. I was in Indiana at the time. I drove from Indiana up to Toledo, Ohio to show him the letter and to tell him that I got accepted to this nursing program. And he gave me the check for nursing school and he paid for my education. And probably, I think it was like a month later, he actually passed. So, yeah, it was sad. So I ended up moving to St. Louis and I began my accelerated nursing career. And I went through the hardest time of my life going through this 1 year of intense training. And by the time I was done, I felt like I was in the Army because it had shaped me and molded me into something that I probably couldn't recognize myself because of the fact that I'm sitting at my graduation and I was crying at my own graduation because I was so proud of myself for having accomplished all of the things people said that I wouldn't, or that I couldn't, or all the doors that slammed in my face, or all the times that I doubted maybe I shouldn't be going into this field. Maybe all of these roadblocks were not meant for me to go down this path. If things are this tough and this hard, maybe this is something I shouldn't be going down. Maybe I'm fighting against the current, maybe I'm not meant to do this. And why am I trying so hard? I mean, should I just give up and try something else? I don't know the answer here. I don't know why this is so hard for me, but yet for other people, they can do this so easily. They can get right in. And I don't understand why this is so difficult. And then after all of this is said and done and I have the degree in my hand, it doesn't stop there. I couldn't get a job. Then we don't want brand new nurses like you. You need to have all of this experience. And after you get this experience, then you have too much experience that you can no longer be a brand new nurse. So it was a million different roadblocks, a million different excuses or things that were pulling me in all these different directions, and it wasn't where I wanted to go. And I had to navigate through this, and it was extremely challenging. And it was the biggest lesson of my life of perseverance and determination. And Jess, do you really want this? Is this something that you want to keep pursuing? Even if it's not, it's something that's just in me to persevere, and it's something that is within me that I have integrity to honor my own word. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. If I don't want to do it, then I will make that decision that I don't want to do it. But I am on a mission to have my goals completed, because it will not feel right unless it's done. And it didn't feel right. So it's something that I needed to have done. So this was my adventure getting through all of these obstacles in a nutshell of how difficult it was for me. And that was the loose version of how tough it really was, because it was tough, and there was many days of crying and not understanding and fighting and arguing and just having even the jobs of going from job to job to job, and it just not working out because it just wasn't a fit. And I really questioned myself in this career if it was right for me. But my heart was there, and I really wanted to do nursing, and it was everything in my mind. What I wanted to do was to help people and to advocate, and the environment wasn't what I had wanted it to be, but my heart was in the right place. It was very confusing my entire life as to coinciding the internal with the external, and all of the jobs, all of the bosses, the positions, they just never aligned for me. It was just not, this never worked out for any reason. And so I ended up spawning off into just creating my own business, because if you don't like what's being put in front of you, then create your own life. Create the life that you want. And the degree I have learned that I have received, I am very grateful for. And some people are not using their degree. And I thought for so long, wow, what a waste of a degree that someone's not using that. But now that I'm in that position, I can understand it's not about the title or the paper. It's about what you fought for to get there. It's about your sacrifice. It's about changing your mindset. It's about your determination, about the lessons that you went through in getting it. It's about everything to do with your own personal development, and all of that, what it took for you to get there, it's part of the journey, right? So all of those things are just as important as the actual skill that you learned while there. So it's not a waste of time, and it's not a waste by any means, because that paper has sculpted you and molded you and changed you into the brilliant person that you are today. So I do have many degrees, and I have many challenges that I will forever be grateful for having gone through. That was one of my life's biggest challenges and goals that I have overcome. And I have so many more to explain to you, so you better stay tuned. So keep on watching, guys.